Welcome back to the New Music Alliance Radio Hour. I'm Mark Ramone, joined today by Violet Hausthor and our special spotlight guest, Dylan from Funnybone Records. You just heard Dreamvoid with Press Play. Before that, Pearl Sugar, Rollerblading. And we started off with The Tines and Collarbone. Let's start with The Tines out of New Haven, Connecticut. No stranger to us. We featured Sam Carlson and Sans Serif Recording a few shows ago. I'm gonna on a spotlight on that recording studio.
Of course. And the Tines are a very, very talented act, obviously, bringing together a lot of very talented artists from a lot of different bands that I know and love to create this really cool sort of indie thing that blends together all sorts of influences. I always love their little synth touches. It's very subtle, but it always works.
Yeah, and Collarbone was the lead single that we put out for their self-titled album, which we released earlier this year. And I just love this song. I think those synths you mentioned, Violet, give this really nice kind of like sparkling touch to the song, kind of a vintage feel, but using like super pristine production, which is to no surprise coming from somebody like Sam. And yeah, I absolutely love this song. It got a really fun music video treatment, which was put out a few months ago. It's a really lovely song.
Yeah, video is definitely worth a watch. I really enjoyed that one. I've always liked the Tines basically since they came onto the scene, but I'm really excited to see what they do in the future with tracks like this. They're going places for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And thinking about what's yet to come from them, listeners can definitely keep an ear out for something a little surprise coming in the next couple of weeks, possibly on the first day of winter.
Ooh.
And then after that, we had Pearl Sugar with Rollerblading. That's a really fun track. It's got a lot of interesting vibes to it. It's sort of bedroom poppy, but it's also got this really distinct use of 80s nostalgia, but it's still relatively sparse in a very careful way. I don't know. There's a lot here to really love. And then that experimental guitar, like at the end, that is a tone. Hello.
Definitely. I think this is one of those songs that is like super almost like meta or like apt, where like if I don't know how to rollerblade, but if I'm picturing myself like rollerblading kind of through the city, I would literally want to listen to this song. It kind of has this like leisurely like groove to it, but towards the end, whether or not this is intentional, it almost sounds like I'm getting like hit by a car when there's this like tire screech and then this really dissonant guitar that you mentioned. It kind of just feels like, you know, from start to finish, the experience of me rollerblading in a city.
Yeah, and they're out of South Hadley, Massachusetts. Super, super cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is a song that really like blends the bridge of their musical timeline, from their earlier kind of more pop forward style of writing to now their more dissonant kind of experimental stylings. This song kind of feels like it's a kind of exists somewhere in between really nicely.
And then rounding off that block, Dreamvoid from New Haven, Connecticut, which is one of Niamh's projects, actually.
Yeah, this is a project that has a really unique story, but to keep it short, it started when Niamh led a program called Soundgarden, which was an interactive program it was a collegiate a cappella group that was kind of doing a co-op sponsorship with a high school program. Niamh made a great connection with one of those high schoolers, who is a producer by the name of Expired Mocha. And the two of them just gelled musically, and soon enough, they had a full album. And Press Play was one of the standouts from that album, as well as another song called Stimmy. Press Play is just such a fun dance floor anthem. Seeing Niamh perform it live is just like a rush of adrenaline. It pretty much, I remember when it turned the local bowling alley into like a club.
Yeah, no, there's some real like techno roots in there, and then that house style bass. It's beautiful. And then those vocals have their own production on it that's really characteristic. There's a lot here, and it's all super danceable. I will probably have this stuck in my head for the rest of the week.
Totally.
What do we have next, Mark?
We've got Stadia with Ruby.